Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I got another interview for you today. I got to sit down with Lee and Joseph Esposito to talk about their new movie, Lillith. This was another cool one. I love doing these interviews because it's always a unique story, it's always a unique path there. There are some things in common, like the determination to get your project done, which I love. It's super inspirational every time. This one was really cool. Lee had been making movies, he'd always been interested in movies. He wrote this movie, and his father, who does have some film experience, read the script, and knowing his son believed in the project, and they got their family together to make and produce this movie. I mean, Joseph talks about getting a home equity line of credit on his house to fund a movie, which on paper anyone would tell you is a terrible idea, but he believed in his son and he saw something in it and they made it happen. And so regardless of what it said on paper, it paid off, which is awesome for them. So they made this cool horror movie together. Lee got to take the reins. It was his first feature. He's a younger guy, so he was kind of staring down a giant in a way, and he goes into that a little bit, not using those words, of course, but in the interview. And it was just such a cool, inspirational story about the son stepping up, the father seeing the potential in his kid coming together, making this thing, not to mention just what it takes to make one of these independent, small or micro budget movies and making it happen and making it a real movie. I just found it so cool. I really like talking to these guys. Like I said, super inspirational, so enjoy the interview. Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I'm sitting down with Lee and Joe Esposito to talk about their newest movie, Lillith. How you doing, guys?
Hey Adam, how are you?
Hey, doing good. I appreciate you guys making the time to come on. This should be fun.
Yeah, looking forward
to be here.
So, Lee, you and I were talking for just a minute before we hit record. That Joe is your father, and he's produced the movie, and you directed the movie.
Yeah. So I wrote this movie back in 2015, end of 2015, beginning of 2016, and it was very it was a large scale thing, or larger scale than I'm accustomed to anyway. And I was like, all right, let's make a proof of concept for this. So I boiled the gist of the plot down to about 6 pages, and we shot it back in the summer of 2016 for like maybe $400. Hired a couple local actors and just shot it. And my father and my cousin and a few other family and extended family and family friends were kind enough to throw money at it and help us garner like a low budget to make it, which was really cool. I'm super lucky. It's not like, the kind of, it's a super privileged position to be in. So that's awesome. But also, it's not something everyone gets, and so I'm very lucky for that, and it's very weird. It's just a very surreal thing to live. I don't know where I'm going with this.
No, that's cool. It's a really cool opportunity that you managed to kind of create for yourself and have the family backing you. That's awesome.
It was really cool.
Joe, had you produced a movie before, or is this kind of a new endeavor for you?
Oh, it's a new endeavor from a production standpoint. A long time ago, I went to film school and that didn't work out. And then I helped write another film with my cousin about his life story a little bit. Really, really low budget film. But when Lee brought the script to me and said, "What do you think?" The best I can come up with was, "I really like the script. I'd love to be able to see if I can get some people to help us make it." And, the only place I had to go tap money from was from a home equity. And that was the way to get the funds up to help him and the team put together his vision. I was really, really excited when I saw the script and what they put together.
That's awesome. I always love stories about how, like, we want to make this thing and we could ask permission to be told no and let it lie, or we could just make it happen.
Yeah, as Lee said, our cousin, Michael Paya, he's the other executive producer. He really was the one when he stepped up and said, "Yeah, I'll definitely be interested in helping to make this." Then that's when I turned to my wife, Mindy, and said, "All right, maybe we have to try and hit a home equity loan and get the money up for the film."
It's happening
now.
Really,
really happy for the team. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah.
That was a wildly stressful time because I was just kind of like, I was like, wait, so what's going on? Like, are you telling me this is happening, or what's going on right now? It was just this really weird head trip, and I was like, there's a lot to it. I don't really want to go into that right now, but we can. It was a mess, but it was a good mess. It ended up being something really, really great.
Yeah. So, Lee, had you made any kind of shorts or anything before?
Yeah. I mean, God, I've been doing like film adjacent stuff since like I was like, I don't know, 9 or 10, something like that, 5th grade, something. I don't know. I mean, I did like a couple like stop motion shorts in like elementary school for projects or whatever, and then made literally the dumbest things in the world with like my friends and toys and like a fucking camcorder and the no effort, literally zero effort. But like, I mean, yeah, stuff like that. And then it evolved into like, actual shorts, like when I was younger. And I made a short adaptation of like I don't know if you're familiar with like No Sleep on Reddit.
No, sorry.
It's a short horror story community. But I mean, I adapted one of those stories into a short film, which I was actually really happy with. It's on Vimeo somewhere. But yeah, I mean, I had done a couple shorts up to that point, but it was always on a much, much, much smaller scale than this. So this was kind of like, I don't know how to swim, and I'm just kind of like stepping off the diving board and not even like diving, just pencil dropping in. So yeah, it was really, really weird.
And had you gone to film school or anything? Or was this your film school?
I mean, it was a bunch of things. I mean, yes, I was in like TV production classes through all 4 years of high school. I did TV classes and like cinematography classes in community college and on in regular college. I don't whatever the whatever's above that.
College, I don't know.
I went to William Patterson and I took film classes. I don't know. I can't. Yeah, so I mean, I was always like, I never went to like film school per se, but like I was always taking film courses and I was always filming things in my spare time, be it like those short things I was telling you about or like side projects for YouTube. So I was very immersed in like the film world throughout my life.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I wasn't going in completely blind, but I was definitely going in like half blind and not having any idea what I was getting into.
All right, that makes sense.
The extent of what I was getting into, if that, yeah,
right, the scope of it.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, okay. So was it kind of I mean, obviously you're learning on the fly all the more technical aspects because it's your script, it was your vision, you probably had a good idea of how you wanted it to turn out, but then you have like the day-to-day nitty-gritty.
Yeah, probably to a bit of a detrimental extent for me. I mean, I had a vision that we live on a main road. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Yeah, I had a vision for the script overall, but I mean, like I said, to a detriment. I mean, I had directed it in my head so many times that I couldn't appreciate certain elements of what was happening right in front of me, to paraphrase Bo Burnham, because that's a quote that has stuck with me since I heard it. I'm getting very off topic.
No, that's cool. We got time. Don't worry about it.
What was the question? I'm so sorry.
I was just curious how, because you wrote it, you had a good idea how you want to turn out. I was just curious how it was to kind of tackle the day-to-day, like, setting up shots and the lighting and the sound, like all the really technical aspects of it.
Okay, so that was particularly stressful on this because this was like I said, very low budget, and for certain locations, I mean, we were booking them the week of, if not like a day or two before. So we didn't really have time to prep the shots in the way we would if we had full control of a space. So that was particularly stressful in the moment because we kind of had to not improvise blocking, but like it was being done very, very close to production. So there wasn't a lot of time to maneuver if things didn't go well. So there was a lot of stress on that front, but I mean, it did end up working out, which is what is at times miraculous to me. I'm like, how did we do this? Like how we did this and people seem to like it. So that's cool, but I don't get how we did it.
Yeah, and I think if you remember, Lee, he had put the shooting schedule together, and they were shooting in like 33 days in a row. With I think it was like over Labor Day weekend, there might have been one day off.
One day off.
Yeah. So he's
for
right
the
about
crew, for the crew specifically.
He's
like
right about the time crunch.
Yeah, it was a time crunch. It was 34 days straight with one day off. That is my biggest regret. Because it was exhausting both physically and mentally. And by the end, I was like, am I dead? Am I dead? Is it over? Can I be dead? No, it was just very surreal. And the fact that it ended up being as close to what I wrote as it did is astounding to me. And that's, I mean, it's entirely thanks to, you know, my cast and my crew, because they nailed it on every front when I was stressed out of my mind. So that was it. Yeah, I'm happy with the end result, even though the stress of doing it was a literal nightmare.
To rewind a little bit, where I always try to phrase this differently, because to say like, where'd you get the idea is one of those, like, when you ask a creative person where their idea is, it's like the most hacky, dumb question. But what was kind of, I'm going to ask the same question and just phrase it differently. So where did you kind of get the spark for this? Were you just like hanging out with your friends when it came up, or were you just kind of extrapolating on some other ideas?
No, I mean, I've always, I mean, I've been writing scripts for a lot of my life. Like I was saying, like throughout high school, I was writing multiple screenplays. I think I wrote a couple features during that time. None of them were good, but I wrote them. And so it like the writing a screenplay part was nothing new to me, but it was like, I mean, I wore this shirt because I was like, this is a big inspo. Pumpkinhead was a big inspo. I really love the idea that it puts forward of like, oh, there's a demon for every one of mankind's evils. I was like, that's neat. They never did anything else with that, but that's neat. So I was like, my brain kind of just went from there, and the idea for Lillith sort of came about. I was like, oh, what would be a cool lust demon? And then I was like, it started with like a totally schlock Evil Dead-esque, like, I don't care, I want the dialogue to be like purposefully garbage. It was like, it started out like that, and then like totally ironic schlock fun, and then from there it kind of evolved as I was writing it into something a little bigger and a little more fleshed out and a little bit more of a character piece. And I don't really know how that came about. It just sort of came about organically as I was writing it, because I really enjoyed writing specific characters in this movie. And like a lot, and then just, you know, as those characters started forming, I started forming like voices for them, and there was a lot of inspiration there from Teeth and Jennifer's Body, and those were the main ones. It's hard for me now, because there were a lot of movies that I hadn't seen prior to making this, and then people compared it to it like throughout production, and I was like, damn, I need to watch that. And then like after production, I watched those movies, and I was like, wow, I totally see what people mean. And now I've just conflated them in my head.
Okay.
But I mean, Ginger Snaps is one of those movies. I watched it literally like the day after we wrapped, and I loved it. Ginger Snaps. The Craft was another one. Those two specifically, I just had not watched up until then, and then I was like, wow, I absolutely get what people mean in terms of the inspirations they're seeing there. So I'm like, I'm like, yeah, I'll wear that as a badge of honor. I like somehow interpreted like elements of those movies that I just picked up from like the cultural zeitgeist and infused them into mine. That's cool. I'll take it.
That is really cool, because then all the different people who give you this different feedback, even if you hadn't seen the movie, you know that you're tapping into something that resonated with them.
Right.
Is that your normal writing process, where you have an idea for a story, you kind of start telling it, and then eventually the story is just kind of revealing itself to you? Or is it usually a little bit more like outline and hammering things out?
It's a bit of both. I mean, Lillith definitely, like, it started in that same like outline, hammering things out sort of way. Because like it was bullet points. It was just bullet points. Here's the bare bones plot. There's a gnat. Hang on. Yeah, they like just bullet pointed out, here's the bare bones plot, and then I just kind of started scripting that out. And like I said, it just took shape on its own. It really wasn't much for me to just be like, oh, I can add detail here to make this better. Yeah, and I mean that's sort of my process overall. I have a million ideas, and I've just written down bullet points for them, and it's like as like more things come to me, I'll flesh them out, over time, and eventually maybe they'll become something. Who knows?
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I'm always curious on people's writing process, because you read so many things and you watch so many tutorials and take so many lessons, and it's like eventually you just have to sit down and write or type or whatever you're doing.
Right.
So Joe, you obviously read the script, liked it, believed in it. Were you on set helping make it happen every day, or were you kind of leaving it up to Lee?
I think after the first 2 days, I realized I'm just going to step away, because I didn't want to step in any processes. It was, as Lee said, this thing took on a life of its own. To suddenly have a bunch of people on a set in a cramped space trying to make things work. We got really lucky, because we just reached out to a bunch of different friends and family members and asked that, Lee needs a dorm room, or he needs a bar. And we just went to so many different places to try and find that work. But no, I stepped away. I was doing more like running people to and from the train stations, and I was in charge of craft services, just making sure that everybody ate when they were supposed to eat. But watching what was being done, and then after a few days looking at some dailies and starting to realize, you look multiple takes of a certain scene, and you realize they're really putting together something here, something that seemed a little special. And we saw the very first rough cut. As a parent and as a producer, you put money into something, you hope and you want to get your money back, but more importantly, you want to see these really talented people, both in front of the camera and behind the camera. Just, it's amazing how many people are in the film industry who are so talented and probably, are out there and no one knows about them. Because to see this group of people come together and realize everyone on the team was just so talented. So to start watching that first rough cut, we sat back there and just were amazed at how everyone did. There's one point where I was kind of secretly filming Lee and the whole cast and crew watching the dailies, and there were some good things that were happening, and they just the way they reacted, it was tons. It's a lot of fun, and it's good to catch that sort of in a little spying moment, if you will. It's something to go back and show the team. But overall, we helped where he wanted to. I know my wife jumped in and did a lot of like some production design to help get the apartment ready for the team while they were out shooting. I mean, literally moving from one scene to the next. It was a lot. It was a lot for them to do. Sometimes shooting one area in New Jersey and then coming back to our home and shooting something in the house. on a 14, 15, 16-hour day. So really, really proud of this whole team, especially Lee, who put this thing together. Just
Wow,
really
yeah.
thanks everyone.
It's amazing that this was your first project, even near this scope, that you managed to juggle all of it and pull it off, and you have like a legit movie at the end. It's amazing.
Yeah, I feel like that. Yeah, it's putting it lightly. Like I wouldn't say amazing. I'd say it's like horrifying.
I think it's horrifying if it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's just like I'm just like, how did I manage this? I'm like, and I come out of it and I'm like, wow, there's my life pre that and my life post that, and I'm a different person now. This is weird. I don't know how I feel about this, but no,
For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's just very odd to put together something like this in this age when everyone has access to like the means to make something like this. Not okay. Hang on. I don't know where I'm.
No, I think I follow.
You can you can cut this. I just ignore that, please.
I think I see what you're saying. It's like you don't need to go to Hollywood and knock on doors and say, "Give me cameras, give me sound guys." You could literally shoot a movie on your iPhone and get a month free trial of Adobe Premiere and edit the thing.
Yeah,
that's kind of what you were getting at. Yeah,
that's the gist of it. Yeah, I mean, the technology to make a film now is so accessible that you don't need a big budget to make something. You don't.
Yeah.
You just need the right people who you work with and who can connect with you to make what you want to make, and who have the talents to in their respective fields to help you achieve that. And I mean, I guarantee you that, like, if you know anyone in the film scene, anyone at all, you have access to all of their contacts and all their, by extension, it just goes on and on. There's like, that's all this is. It's just, who you meet, who reach out to them and find out, who they know. That's how you get, sure. you can get a fully functional crew that way.
And is that kind of what you did? You had maybe one contact to start and that branched and branched and branched?
I was fortunate enough to I know so many people, I have so many friends who are into this sort of thing that I filled out probably, 6/8 of the crew with friends, and then the other 2 or 3 people were friends of friends or people I knew through class in college.
Is that
the scene is massive. As Lee is saying, that connected group is massive, because as he's saying, most of the people he was friends with who had some semblance of working in film or connected to film or just love of film. And then he just had 2 or 3 other folks just reaching out to friends of friends, so you find people who are going to either run your editing or sound or things of that nature. It's just amazing. I was very happy when he had it all worked out, and we were like, okay, this makes it a lot easier for me to go to folks and ask, you want to take a jump here and put some money into this project?
Yeah. Okay. Is that the cast and the crew behind and in front of the camera?
The cast was through backstage, all through backstage. And I mean, that's super easy. You can do that through $25. You put up an ad and you can get potentially, thousands of submissions.
Is
that's, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No. Oh no, that was.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask, is that your proximity to New York City? I don't know if you're, saying out loud where you guys are from, but there is some good indie film blood from a very popular indie filmmaker who's big now. Is that kind of all because of your area, or did it just work out?
I mean, I think I definitely just worked out, because I mean, it wasn't just from people from New York. I mean, there were people from Massachusetts and a couple other places. that came out to be in this. So I don't think it was necessarily just the proximity to New York. I mean, you'll get when you post on Backstage, you'll get people. You can post for like just people from New York, but you're still going to get submissions from all over because people don't care.
Right.
But no, like there. So I don't think it's necessarily just proximity to New York, although that does definitely help in the case if you're in the tri-state area. But I find that there's a lot of unrecognized talent out there on Backstage who like you can find really, really, really talented people who deserve a shot. And I mean, that was just I was lucky enough to find people who really were fantastic for what I was looking for.
Yeah.
All right. Was there kind of an audition process? Was it like Zoom meetings or people just kind of
Yeah, I did self-tapes for all of them. The actor who plays the boyfriend, Michael Finnegan, and the actor who plays Lillith, Savannah Whitten, the two of them were in the proof of concept, so they both came back for this. So that was fortunate because like I genuinely could not imagine anyone better for the role than Savannah, because we did get a lot of submissions for the character and none of them got the personality right at all. They were always going like too sultry with it, or like way too like trying to tone up the sex appeal like way too much. And I was like, you're not getting it. Like, stop. And like, I really mean that when I say Savannah was the only audition we got that nailed exactly what I needed from her.
Yeah, it's amazing that it works out.
Yeah, seriously, I was so lucky in that regard.
That's cool. I didn't know about this Backstage thing. It sounds really interesting, and it makes perfect sense in today's day and age where everything's done online.
Yeah, I mean, it really, like, you have access to all of that. Like, it's really, really easy. It makes the idea of making a film so much simpler.
Yeah.
it gives you access. You have access to everything you need. If you don't know if you don't know like what lenses to use to get this sort of the look you're going for, if you don't know like how to use this camera, YouTube, it has everything. You can literally teach yourself how to make a film in any department just through YouTube.
Yeah, it's kind of what we were talking about before with the physical equipment you need or the software, but you also have all this access to so many channels to get it out to people.
Right, exactly.
And you linked up with a pretty good PR company that's making some big moves this year. Like, they've really grown.
Yeah, I am unfamiliar with what goes on that end of the production things. I have no idea. So that's wild to me. I'm like, thank you. Thanks. It's just very, very existentially terrifying. So
Well, that's what they're there for, right? They take that off your plate for you.
yeah, seriously. I would be actually gone. I would have ceased to exist.
You needed a break after that 33 days.
Yeah, no, can't do it.
That was intense. Lee's worst critic too, because we were looking at it and saying there's really something special. He's like, I don't think he could see it at first because again, you're just so raw, and to watch him and the whole crew, and the cast is done and they move on, but the crew has to live with it afterwards, right? Especially the folks who are trying to edit it, and Lee with his partners, Vince and Chris, who are really just trying to work the life of this thing going forward, between the editing and the sound and, the audio sweetening and everything else. And, to be there on the fringes and see what is morphing into, we were so excited, to see it. And it was good because I think once Lee stepped away from a little bit, he started seeing it and you could, really believe in it. And we got really, really lucky with hooking up with, Terra Films and all. They've been great for us so far. That's been so exciting.
No, that's been really fortunate. Yeah. I mean, circling back, what you were just saying is exactly, I can circle back to that Bo Burnham quote that I was talking about, because he was saying that on the set of, with the best advice he got before directing 8th Grade was like, don't direct this a million times in your head because you won't see what's unfolding right in front of you. And I made that mistake with Lillith, and so it's very hard for me to disconnect from the version that I directed a million times in my head from, you know, what it actually is. I'm getting there, but it's good advice.
Yeah, I would say it's a very normal thing what you're going through, because anyone who throws themselves into such a massive undertaking and you live it, because it was 33 days, which, you know, in 5 years you might say like, hey, well, we made a movie in a month, but when you're in those 33 days and it's consuming you, and like Joe was saying, 15, 16-hour days, it's not like you're doing this 4 hours a day and moving on. I can see it being difficult to objectively remove yourself.
And I'm sorry, Lee, to jump in. I just want to say, if you look within those 33 days, there's one of the worst days, but the greatest days that I was there to watch with these guys. Lee and the team had one night to shoot outdoors, and it was cold. It was September-ish time frame, and they had a whole day shoot, and they were getting ready to do this, you know, this night scene, the night shoot. You know, where I don't give the movie away. People watch the movie, but you'll know when it is. And it's cold, and we have to get into the back area. We kind of helped set up, you know, a couple of days earlier, where we were putting stakes in the ground and ropes so the team could hold on to it to work their way into the back of the woods. And the team comes back to the house after shooting in a different area. They probably maybe even been in Brooklyn. I don't know at that point, but they come back to the house and they're going to shoot that scene at night, and everyone's eating. And there is this massive thunderstorm rolling in, and there's no room for error. They cannot shoot outside of this window. And I'm sitting, and I've got every weather map open on the computer, and I'm watching the storm, you know, pinpoint where we live, and just watching the storm roll in. And I promise you, if I can go back in time and find that, all of a sudden the storm starts kind of taking shape into this amorphous blob, becomes like the letter C, and starts splitting around our house and breaks into two pieces, goes north and south of the chute. We didn't hear one crack of thunder, no lightning. And I just sat there and went, okay, now there's the higher power that you have to bow to. It was stunning. And I'll never, whoops.
No, he's not kidding.
My hand. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
He's not kidding.
I'd say, no, to see what Lee was going through, and then to be able to watch him, you know, mature in that situation and go from this isn't going to work, how are we going to make this happen, to okay, let's do it. And I think they shot till like 4 a.m. that morning. It was just
it was like 2.
Oh, it seemed like 2. 4 to me.
No, we only had one night that we were up till 4, and that was awful. That was awful. No, I mean, we he's not kidding about that. I mean, we joked that like the clouds parted over us, and we're like, oh my, what? Because it felt, we literally were like, oh, we're done, we're doomed. This is gonna be like totally fucked. And then I don't know how, but you know, nature was like, no, it's okay, you can make your movie.
We messed with you just enough. Now we'll back off.
Yeah, exactly.
Had to get you to hurry up a little bit.
This is like they're like, here, you can have this. So that was neat. But yeah, it was very, I don't know, it was just a very strange experience, because yeah, like you were saying, there was a lot of kind of coming into my own in the middle of it, which was so odd, so strange to look on now from like a weird third party perspective. I don't know. It's bizarre. It's like, if I don't know where I'm going with that. Sorry.
Well, what I like about it is when I watch the film, I'll remember, oh, that's when that happened. Oh, remember when this happened. Or remember they had to shoot it that way. So all the
that I'll remember. That I always will remember.
Yeah, you get a whole other layer of viewing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited to record like commentary track for it.
I was just going to ask that. You should record a commentary before it gets too far away.
Yeah, no, we've been talking about it. As soon as we get the things going for physical release, we're gonna definitely do that.
And it's awesome you are doing a physical release. I
Oh,
like that people are still
absolutely.
holding on to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. We're actually I'm not going to say when because we're talking to the people right now, but we're trying to get a VHS version of it.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and anything we do, and anything we do physical media is down the road. After we see what kind of run it does and all the
exactly
the platforms and the outlets that it's going to be streaming on.
Yeah, for sure.
But I definitely do want to give it something though.
Even a limited run, just so you have the tangible thing, I think is cool.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, you want to tell everyone where and when they can see it?
Yeah, I'll jump in here. So we're all the breakout of all the different outlets that we're finding out that it's going to be on. We're waiting to get that final list from Terra Films. It looks like it's going to be on Amazon Prime. It's going to be on almost, I think, all of the outlets that Terra Films has connections with and has all these streaming opportunities on. So I believe it's Amazon Prime. It'll be on Kings of Horror. It's going to be on Tubi TV. It's going to be on YouTube and especially on the AVOD platform. But Lillith is going to premiere July 9th. So we're really excited. It's a little more than a week away.
Yeah, it's coming up.
Yeah, really, really fun.
That's awesome. And do you guys have a website, maybe social media channels or anything else you want to plug?
I'll turn that to you.
Yeah, you can check out our production website, ritterhouseproductions.com. That's RITERHAUS Productions. The Lillith page is on there. Also, we've submitted Lillith to a couple other things that I can't say. I don't think I can say anything about because I don't know if we're in yet, but I'm hoping I'll have something cool to announce in a couple days. Hoping, fingers crossed.
Yeah,
and also the more fun thing for me anyway is the day after Lillith drops, I'm going into production on a short film that we funded through Kickstarter. We made almost double our goal, and it's going to turn out really good. One of the cast of Lillith is coming back for this project, Nell Kessler, who is incredible, and a couple other people. And it's going to be a big party thing. And it's going to be Lovecraftian and drugs. And I will leave it at that. It's going to be a very aesthetically pleasing film. Very cool. All right. Keeping the ball rolling.
And Lillith is also listed on Facebook, Twitter. We're on all the major social media platforms.
Twitter, Instagram, all those.
Great. Well, guys, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I love the story of how it came together, how you made it happen. It's very inspiring for anyone who wants to create anything. Don't ask for permission. Just get it done. Just do it. That's correct.
Yeah. Seriously, that's just go for it.
You got a point in time where all the tools are at your fingertips. But Adam, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yeah, seriously. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. That's definitely to talk about this.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Take care, everybody.
You too. I'd like to thank Lee and Joseph one more time for coming on the show to talk to me about Lillith. It is available now. You should definitely check it out. Huge congratulations to Lee for tackling your first feature, for knocking it out of the park, for rallying your family behind you. It's so cool to hear that story. I can't get enough of it. So thanks again, guys. Congratulations. Lillith available now. We have a lot more interviews, a lot more new movie coverage coming your way. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps us grow our audience. We even have some con coverage coming up by the end of this month, early next month. We're going to our first con since 2019, so that's going to be cool. Also, make sure you listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week, wherever you get your podcasts. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month, you get multiple monthly bonus shows. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, videos, and more. We love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments, leave us something on social media. All the accounts can be found after the show and in the show notes. And on a more personal note, a really good friend and I have an ongoing comic series out. It's called Social Studies. It's a slice of life comedy comic. We write it like a sitcom. We take all the comic elements, all the sitcom elements, all the humor, all the drama, and we jam it through the prism of the 90s cartoons that we grew up on. And the result is Social Studies. It's a ton of fun. We really love doing it. We really love talking to people about it. Check out the comic. The first chapter just wrapped. It's 7 issues, so now's a great time to jump on board. We have a Kickstarter coming out that's putting all those issues together. There'll be tons more on that later. We're still ironing out the final details. And then chapter 2 starts as soon as possible, so socialstudiescomic.com. Thanks.